For 10 years, I believed my younger sister was drowning. Not figuratively. I truly thought she was sinking under the weight of poverty, bad luck, unstable jobs, and a world that seemed determined to swallow her whole. Every year, the stories became more heartbreaking. Her rent doubled. Her car broke down. Again. She had a medical emergency. Her boss cut her hours. Her electricity was shut off. I was only 18 when it started. She was 14, scared and alone, and I had just become the closest thing she had to a parent. Now I'm 28, and only recently I uncovered a truth so shocking it hollowed out my chest. My poor, struggling sister Chloe owns 3 fully paid houses in Denver, all purchased with money I spent a decade sacrificing to send her. The moment I found out wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a fight or a betrayal that exploded like fireworks. It was quiet, silent, cold, the kind of silence you feel more than you hear. And in that silence, I realized, for 10 years, I didn't save my sister. I funded her wealth. While she let me live like a fool, I used to think betrayal arrived like thunder, sudden and undeniable. But now I know better. It arrives like a slow fog. At first, thin and harmless, but eventually so thick you can't see the truth standing right in front of you. Back then, I didn't have the experience to question things. I didn't have the emotional strength to draw boundaries. And I certainly didn't have anyone guiding me. No parents, no mentors, no family elders telling me that unconditional giving is a dangerous path. It took me 10 years to learn a lesson that older generations know well. Love is powerful, but love without boundaries becomes a weapon used against us. When I finally discovered the truth about Chloe, not just the houses, but the lies wrapped around them, it didn't break my heart. It broke my belief in who I was. Because I wasn't betrayed just by my sister. I was betrayed by the version of myself who thought doing the right thing meant giving until I had nothing left. And now, when I look back on how it all unfolded, every warning sign seems so obvious. But at the time, I was too busy surviving, working, struggling, and loving her to see it. My name is Hannah Pierce, and if someone asked me to describe my life in one sentence, I'd say, I grew up too early and too fast. Our childhood wasn't dramatic. It was simply hard. Our parents passed away when I was 18, leaving me with a 14-year-old sister whose world had just collapsed. We weren't wealthy. We weren't emotionally prepared. We weren't ready for adulthood. But life doesn't wait for you to be ready. The first moment I realized Chloe would rely on me forever came on a rainy Tuesday night. I was working as a cashier at a small grocery store in Austin. It was my 4th shift that week, and my feet ached from standing on tile floors for 8 hours straight. My phone buzzed. Hannah, can you talk? Her voice trembled the moment I answered. Are you okay? I asked. No, she whispered. I need school supplies tomorrow. They're expensive. I don't want to bother you, but I can't tell anyone else. I walked to the break room, rain dripping from my hair. How much? I asked gently. There was silence. The kind used when someone wants to sound ashamed, even if they aren't. Maybe 60? I didn't hesitate. I sent it immediately. To this day, I still believe that first request was real. Sincere. She was just a scared teenager trying to get through school. But after that, the requests never stopped. And slowly, carefully, they became more dramatic. At first, it was $200 for a school trip. Then $300 for a lost wallet. Then $500 because her landlord threatened eviction. I was barely making enough to survive, working at diners and retail stores, but every time Chloe cried, I paid. Not because she manipulated me, but because I was terrified of losing the last person I called family. Chloe learned something dangerous. I was soft-hearted, and soft-hearted people are easy to lift and easy to crush. She discovered that all she had to say was, I feel so alone, or I wish Mom were here, and I would bend, break, sacrifice. While Chloe was struggling, I skipped. Birthdays, weekends, vacations, college, nights out with friends, savings, rest. I took double shifts, triple shifts. Sometimes I slept 4 hours a night. Not for a child, but for a grown woman who never once tried to stand on her own feet. Austin wasn't glamorous. It was real life. Fast, heavy, unforgiving. I lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment. My mattress was a hand-me-down from someone who moved out in a hurry. I owned 2 pots, 1 microwave, and a used laptop with a screen that flickered every time the Wi-Fi disconnected. Meanwhile, Chloe always had new clothes, always upgraded phones, emergency car repairs, nights out with friends, trips she never explained, social media pictures in new outfits. But every time I questioned anything, she cried, "I'm so embarrassed. I'm doing my best. You're the only one I have." And the guilt wrapped around my throat like a tightening rope. By the time I turned 25, something subtle changed in Chloe. Her tone softened even more. Her stories became more desperate. Her needs grew bigger. Looking back now, I realized she had mastered her role, the fragile younger sister who needed constant rescuing. But at the time, I didn't recognize the pattern. I was too busy working and trying to keep both of us afloat. That year, I worked as a waitress at a small cafe near downtown Austin. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., I dragged myself out of bed. Every night at 10 p.m., I limped back into my apartment. I lost weight I couldn't afford to lose. My hands cracked from dish soap. My back hurt from carrying trays. And sometimes I cried quietly into my pillow, wondering if I would ever have a life of my own. But each time Chloe called, I answered, "Hun, my car broke down again. Hun, I can't pay rent. Hun, I'm scared. I feel alone. Hun, I need you." I remember it vividly. It was payday, and after bills, I had exactly $410 left. Chloe called crying, saying she had a tooth infection and couldn't afford the dentist. Without hesitation, I wired her $400. That night, I ate pasta with butter because that's all I had left, while she, as I later discovered, went out for sushi with friends. She posted a picture with the caption, "Self-care night." At the time, it didn't even cross my mind that the money came from me. When I turned 27, my life finally shifted. I got hired as an assistant property manager at a mid-sized apartment complex. The pay wasn't amazing, but compared to waitressing, it felt like wealth. I started saving. Not much, but enough. For the first time, I could breathe. And then the company offered me a training trip to Denver for a 3-day seminar. Chloe lived in Denver. This felt like fate. A chance to reconnect. A chance to help her face to face. A chance to maybe figure out how to lift her up long term. Little did I know, it was the trip that would change everything. When I landed at Denver International Airport, I texted Chloe, "Send me your address, I'll call an Uber." But she didn't send it. Instead, she wrote, "Let's meet at the Starbucks on 12th and Grant. My place is a mess." Strange, but I ignored the feeling. We hugged tightly when she arrived. She smelled like expensive perfume, real, not knockoff. Her nails were done, her hair freshly styled, her boots brand new. For someone who couldn't pay rent, she looked incredibly well kept. "Wow," I said. "You look amazing. New coat?" She glanced down quickly. "Oh, a gift from my friend. Just borrowed it." Borrowed a $600 coat? Something didn't feel right. But I pushed it aside. We spent the afternoon together. She insisted on choosing restaurants, and every place she picked was expensive. When the bill came, she didn't even reach for her wallet. She just looked at me. The same look she'd given me since she was 14. I paid. On the second day, while driving the rental car through a narrow residential street, I misjudged my turn and scraped the side of the car on a mailbox. Panicking, I pulled over. I walked toward the nearest house to ask if they had security footage or could help verify the accident. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I turned to leave. And that's when I saw it. A silver mailbox with bold engraved letters. My heart stopped. My stomach tightened. My breath caught in my throat. I blinked, stared again. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't another Pierce. It wasn't a mistake. It was her full name. Her initials. Her business registration number. Against my better judgment, I opened the mailbox. Inside were envelopes. Dozens. All addressed to Chloe Pierce, owner. Rental income statements, property tax assessments, insurance paperwork, maintenance invoices. This wasn't a house she borrowed. This wasn't a friend's home. This was her property, her asset, her business. And not only that, the paperwork listed it as property 2, meaning there were more. I felt the world tilt under my feet. The air thinned. My legs weakened. 10 years of sacrifices. 10 years of skipped meals. 10 years of sleepless nights. 10 years of believing she was drowning. All unraveling instantly. She wasn't drowning. She was swimming in wealth I unknowingly helped her build. Chloe arrived 5 minutes later, walking casually down the sidewalk with her frappuccino. She froze when she saw what I was holding. What are you doing? My voice cracked. Chloe, what is this? She looked at the mailbox, at the envelopes, at my trembling hands, and her face changed. Not to guilt, not to shame, but to annoyance. Hannah, you weren't supposed to see that. I stared at my sister, the girl I raised, the girl I sacrificed for. And for the first time, I didn't recognize her. Her expression wasn't guilty. It wasn't scared. It wasn't even apologetic. It was irritated, annoyed, as if I had discovered a surprise party before it was ready. What do you mean I wasn't supposed to see that? I asked, my voice barely stable. She sighed loudly, like I was the one making things complicated. Hannah, don't be dramatic. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? 10 years of lies, 10 years of manipulation, 10 years of draining me emotionally, financially, spiritually. And she had the audacity to say it wasn't a big deal. I swallowed the heaviness in my throat. Chloe, how many houses do you own? She hesitated for half a second, just long enough to confirm the answer was worse than I imagined. 3. My knees nearly buckled. 3. 3 properties. While I had eaten instant noodles for years so she could survive, she crossed her arms. You don't understand. I had to do this. I had no stability, no parents, no support. I needed a safety net. A safety net? I whispered. Chloe, I was your safety net. She rolled her eyes. Exactly. And you're responsible. You're older. You're supposed to help me get ahead. I felt something inside me fracture. A small, quiet break. By lying to me? By letting me starve while you bought houses? By using my money to become a landlord? She looked away. I didn't force you to send it. You chose to. That sentence. That single sentence stabbed deeper than any lie she had ever told. Because she was right. I did choose to help. But I chose under the belief she was drowning, not building wealth off my sacrifice. Show me, I said firmly. Show me everything. She groaned again, irritated. But eventually, she opened her phone. There it was. 3 properties. One worth $690,000, one worth $7,000 to $20,000, and one smaller home worth $10,000. All fully paid, all rented, all generating nearly $9,000 a month in passive income. She had more money at 24 than I ever had at 28 after working myself to exhaustion for a decade. And then she said the sentence that ended everything. You should be happy for me. Happy. Happy that she built a real estate portfolio on the back of my youth. Happy that she let me live in fear of bills while she collected rent. Happy that she manipulated my kindness into her business plan. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I simply felt a deep, heavy calm settle in my chest. The kind that comes after a storm has destroyed everything and there is nothing left to lose. Chloe, I said quietly, this ends today. Her smirk faded. What do you mean? I mean, I'm done. The money, the support, the guilt, the responsibilities. I'm done carrying you. She scoffed. You can't just cut me off. I stepped closer, looked her directly in the eyes, and whispered, watch me. She tried to cry. She tried to shake. She tried to perform the same act she'd been using since she was 14. I'll lose everything, she sobbed. I can't live without your help. You're abandoning me. You're just like Mom and Dad. You're leaving me too. But this time I saw the performance for what it was. A script. Well-practiced, well-used, well-worn. I didn't fall for it. Not anymore. Chloe, I said softly, you have 3 houses. You'll survive. And I walked away. For the first time in 10 years, I walked away. When I reached my hotel room that night, I sat on the edge of the bed and waited to feel something. Anger, sadness, relief, anything. But there was nothing. Just an overwhelming quiet. A silence that felt like truth. Like healing. Like finally stepping out of a cage I hadn't realized I was inside. Chloe texted me dozens of times that night. You ruined my life. You don't care about family. You're selfish. You owe me. You're abandoning me. This is on you. I didn't reply. The next morning, I blocked her number. Not out of hate, but out of self-respect. The last time I saw her. Before flying back to Austin, I drove past all three houses. Two had tenants on the porch. One had a family with children playing in the yard. Life went on. Money flowed in. Business continued. Chloe didn't need me. She never had. She only needed what I could give her. The realization. On the plane ride home, I whispered to myself, I wasn't helping her, I was enabling her. I gave her my savings, my time, my youth, my mental health, my trust, my loyalty. But the one thing I never gave her, and should have, was a boundary. As I grew older, I finally understood something many seniors already know. You cannot save someone who uses your kindness as currency. Here is what life taught me. Painfully, but clearly. 1. Family can love you and still use you. Blood does not guarantee honesty or gratitude. 2. Helping someone is noble until it destroys you. There is a thin line between compassion and self-sacrifice. 3. When someone relies on your kindness, they often stop trying. Dependency grows when responsibility disappears. 4. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors, and you decide when they open. Walking away is not cruelty. Walking away is self-respect. 6. Forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. But forgiveness does not require continued access. 7. The hardest truth. Sometimes the person you must save is yourself. I used to think I lost my sister. But the truth is, I lost her long before the houses. Long before the lies. I only regained myself the day I finally said, enough.